Hi everyone, it's good to be here, and I know I'm what's keeping you from drinks and socializing with each other, so I'll keep this short and hopefully you'll find it useful. It's really good to be here. We work very closely with Fireside. We work with a lot of the founders in the room, I've come back to India after many years. I've been here now for this is my third year now. And it's been incredible to see the energy, especially the energy of the founders that are powering the country forward. So I thought I'd share a few slides and give you our perspective of what we're seeing on our platforms, but also talk about the broader India story. Like Kannan said, I lead Meta. So in my role, I look not just at our strategy in the country, but I also manage our revenue operations. I look at our strategic investments in the country and overall running of Meta in India. To conclude the day, like I said, a quick insight into what we are seeing overall in India and how we at Meta are approaching the opportunity that we see in India. We remain, Kannan, just as you are, very optimistic about the India story. So everyone started, I think others started with this slide as well, which is depending on who you speak to, the 2030 India story is anywhere between $6.5 to $8 trillion. But the message is pretty clear. A lot of that will get driven by consumer internet, 1 trillion of that. And what you'll see is the GDP increase from 2,000 to 5,500. That GDP increase is not going to be only at the top of the pyramid, right? India is really becoming, and you'll see in the slides that I have following, the consumption is not going to be concentrated, it's going to increase across the board. What this means also is that by 2030, we will be the third largest economy in the world. Again, depending on who you speak to, there's estimates that we could get there even sooner. Look, there may be churn, there may be volatility, there may be geopolitics, but we feel very convinced that India is going to be an economic powerhouse. And at Meta, we are pretty committed to being a part of that story and being a catalyst as well in that transformation. The key drivers that we think will push us ahead, again, you saw some of this in the morning, but 1.5 million, so there is a demographic dividend, that's for sure. That is going to be combined with what we see on literacy rates. There'll be a surge of young people coming into working age population. What you're also going to see, which I talked about, was the improvements in the percentage of the rich and middle class households. 70% of the GDP growth is going to come from an increase in private consumption. So what does that mean? That also means, like I said, the pyramid is now becoming more of a diamond. Basis the research that was done by Bain, if you look at baseline as 2022, consumption growth is expected to go up by 2x. And 75% of this growth will come from high and upper middle class income groups. And we're going to look at overall, lifting income levels. So 56% of that is going to, there's a pretty big sizable chunk of the population that will be driving incremental consumption. What you saw, if you were there in the morning from Adarsh's slides, was that consuming class, the number of millions of households are going to increase pretty significantly, and that's what you're seeing here. But what this means is that this consumption will be driven by new category adoption. So what we're going to see is health food, wearables, and you'll see it in some slides I have on Gen Z later. They will consume a little bit differently, and so you should see this, this correlation, but also increased purchase frequency. And this talks about the increasing purchase frequency. The number of internet users, we're already at 657 as of 21, but that number is going to get to close to 1 trillion. We're looking at a huge headroom of around 450 million, in 21, going up to almost 775 million Indians who are going to be on social media and chatting. They're going to be consuming video content, and this is as of 26 projected numbers, so not too far away. What that will mean is that a big chunk of Indians will be viewing video content, will be messaging each other, and there'll be a trickle down to product transactors and service transactors also increasing. What that means is what you saw in 21, which was 140 million and now 200 to 250 million, will become 400 million people who will probably be buying things online in India. We think WhatsApp will be a big bridge to that, and let me tell you why. A lot of people, as you go to India 2 and India 3, use WhatsApp. And for them, they're already chatting, with businesses on WhatsApp. You'll see some slides later. We're building quite a lot of functionality within WhatsApp. So we think the first port of call for businesses as they reach their consumers will be through an app that people use every day, right? So we're actually building in features so users can connect with businesses, close the loop, do the payments within the app, and we're actually seeing that being a bridge between consumers doing their first purchase on WhatsApp to becoming really sophisticated in using an app or are buying on web. So we think that bridge, we will play a role in making that bridge happen between product transactors increasing to around 400 million. And if we can further double click on product and service transactors, a significant part of them are going to be discovering what they buy on social media. Well, I am from Meta, so these numbers, you'll have to look at these slides as well, but it is true, and you'll see the size that we have on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is our largest market, the largest market for WhatsApp is India, but so too for Instagram and for Facebook. 62% of urban users are already discovering products online, and the headroom to grow is massive. We think the same behavior will play out in India too and elsewhere as well. And it's basis again a Bain study, 65% of online transactors do transactions because they see personalizations, things that they want that cater to them, and the variety of options that they see on social. A big part of commerce expansion is going to come from alternate channels, and I'll spend a little bit of time talking about this. Not only will users seek variety, they'll want relevance, they'll want personalization, but they also want to see easier forms of commerce. I just described that process to you, like the more we build features within WhatsApp, and Indians use WhatsApp every day, we think that will be a pretty big enabler. We also think video commerce will be a pretty big trend as well, which is people are consuming short form videos, people are consuming videos today across a variety of platforms. So we think both chat-led conversational commerce as well as video commerce will be big trends. But the takeaway really for us should be that it's not just to be not just ready for the incremental consumption that we are going to see in the country, but to be ready to meet them where they are, which is product varieties, talking to Gen Z, innovative value propositions, and investing in new channels or commerce wholeheartedly. So we work with many of you in the room, many of you innovate with us and build models with us, and the ones that we see doing super well are the ones that experiment and that are willing to take chances on new alternate forms of channels of commerce. And when we speak about, before I move to Meta, I wanted to again leave you with this slide. The way to think about it is 650 million people who are currently on social media or messaging. There's only 200 million of them that are digitally savvy and consumption focused cohorts. So there is a bridge here, who are not on app or who are not digitally savvy. The same goes for small businesses as well. 65 million businesses in the country, and only 5 million of them are online SMB sellers. 30 million of them are formalized SMBs. So there's opportunity there as well to connect that ecosystem as well. One of the ways we do that is our WhatsApp business messaging app is completely free, and we're seeing more and more small businesses sort of not build expensive websites, but use WhatsApp as a port of call to build out their catalogs. All of it is for free. So that brings me really to our mission, right? Our mission is about building the future of human connection and the technology that makes it all possible, right? To enable the technology that makes it all possible. We connect today over half of the world's population in really inspiring ways. And our vantage point lets us see a lot of trends play out on our platform, and also how users are engaging with us. And it's in that context that I want to talk about a few trends. I've already talked about some of them, but I'll go over the rest of what we're seeing on the platform. So again, from Meta in India, largest market for WhatsApp globally is in India. If you take Reels creation, again, Reels is short form video on our platform. Again, India tops the charts for Reels creation globally, and this is important because it's not just tier 1 India, it's across the board. Anyone in India, a lot of them have become so savvy around how they make and post Reels. one of the most active countries for Threads. We launched Threads not very long ago, and already we're pretty blown away by the engagement that we're seeing on Threads, especially coming from the country. And what we're also seeing is this is the largest community of Instagram creators. The trends that we're seeing around creators, especially on the country, if you read, depending on the report you read, you will hear a number of 100 million creators being touted. But what we're seeing is increasingly more and more people on the platform creating not just for very large audiences, but also micro influencers and micro creators across the country. Speaking of tech, I do want to take a minute to talk about AI, and I have slides on AI after, because no presentation is ever complete without AI these days. India is really leaping ahead in terms of adoption of AI. We've also very committed to open source. There are some of you that we work with on Llama. So the way we think about AI, and there's a slide I'll show right after this. When we think about our user AI, it is Meta AI, right, which is across our family of apps. It is integrated into WhatsApp, and since we launched it, 700 million people have used it across the globe. India again is the largest market for Meta AI as well, the largest country. And what we're seeing is Indians are using it in really, really different ways. We originally thought when we launched Meta AI that people will use fancy prompts like imagine, do this, can you help me with this? And what we've found is Indians are using it, and there's a mom in Varanasi that we met during a product immersion who was using it to teach her kid math. There's someone else, teenagers in Kochi who use it to plan their vacations. Personally, I just use it to stay current with my son and know what's going on in the world of football. That's what I use it for. But what we're seeing is India continues to give us a lot of good product insights on how we actually build for Meta AI, and the usage and engagement on Meta AI continues to increase in the country. So the pace at which this change is happening, actually, we think a lot of this is coming from Gen Z as well, and I want to sort of make a pivot into Gen Z. We think a lot of the digital transformation that we're seeing on our platforms is coming because of Gen Z leading that. You heard in the morning today Adarsh talk about Gen Zs don't want to buy anything from that their parents want or any brands. This is an Instagram trends report, so this is trends on Instagram for the year 2024. And what we saw was that Gen Z is really excited to try out diverse food and ingredients based on what they share on Instagram, the questions they ask, the comments they make. This was a survey, but for Instagram users. They're very career oriented. Again, I think that's good news for everybody at Fireside. Hopefully a lot more Gen Z entrepreneurs and founders in the room not too many years from now. So they're pretty different from the way their parents think. They're very invested in growth. 43% of them, almost half, focused on self-improvement. And they want to do things in unexpected ways, like do it yourself, wear clothes in a different way. A lot of the trends that we see also started in music and sharing on Instagram. Gen Z looks at it in a different way and approaches it in a different way from the rest of the audience that we have on our platform. I thought this would be interesting for you because this is something that we see on our platform, and we are seeing Gen Z approach consumption of not just goods but also of content a little bit differently from the earlier gens. So what does all of that mean for you as a business? India really does have immense opportunity in this decade, as I talked about. We have the right fundamentals. I think consumption's up and to the right. We're at the right place at the right time. So the X factor is really how do we take these opportunities that we have and transform them to reality. The way we think about it is we think for Meta, there are three ways in which we can contribute. One is all the investments that we're making in artificial intelligence. Two, business messaging. I talked about conversational commerce being a big trend, but our investments in business messaging will help businesses grow in the country. Third, just the whole creator revolution that's happening in the country and the short form video consumption. You saw almost 775 million people in the earlier slides that I showed, consuming video. We think that, we can help with the work that we're doing on Reels there. So these are the three areas that I want to spend a little bit of time double clicking on. So the first one, which is really AI, and AI is core to everything that we do in the company. So 10 years ago, we started FAIR, which is, our research efforts around AI. For a long time now, AI has powered our news feed. We've accelerated the investments we've made in AI with, with all the progress that we've seen on Gen AI. We just committed this year to around $65 billion of additional CapEx infrastructure money that we'd spend this year for our Gen AI and our AI efforts. And since 2021, we've spent more than $100 billion on CapEx, and that's been to support AI across the company. So we're big believers and big investors in AI. The way we think about it is, what are we doing on AI for users? And I gave you a preview of that with what we did with Meta AI. What are we doing with AI for businesses? And what are we doing with AI for creators? If I were to just break it up, to those three. And there's work that we're doing with developers, startups, and enterprises with what we're doing on open source and our releases of Llama. Now, coming to businesses, there you see the amount of investments we've made. And I've seen this journey. I've been with the company now. I've been with the company for 9 years. The kinds of investments we've made on AI-powered products have actually resulted in a pretty huge ROAS to companies. So there are a lot of, in fact, it was many Indian advertisers that we started trialing our Advantage Plus suite of products with. Early adopters saw big gains, and you can see that sort of play out in the kind of ROAS that we are returning, right? On average, what we're seeing is that using images generated by AI on our platform. So we've also now started trialing Gen AI creatives. 15 million ads are created in just 1 month, and 4 million advertisers have already started using Gen AI created ads on our platform. What this means for businesses is that you spend more time doing all the other things you care about to grow the business, and we want to take away some of the pain of targeting, reaching your audience, creating those ads. What we're seeing here is that using images that are created by AI is resulting on our platforms with 11% higher CTR and a 7.6% higher conversion rate on ads that are run on our platform. So we are seeing already a pretty big impact. There was another study, and I haven't put that number here. We've seen people save close to around a month a year when they use our Gen AI creative tools, because basically they're spending less time creating those ads and running those ads. So one of the reasons that we believe, and again with Llama, we've seen 800 million downloads. We've announced that we will also be launching Llama 4. With Llama 3, our ambition was we wanted to show that open source models could take on other models head on in terms of performance. I think what we want to show with Llama 4 is that we can actually be industry leading. So that's the hope, and the launch is going to happen at some point soon. So these are some of the reasons in which AI's ability is not just for us, this ability to connect people with the things they love, but we also think AI can be a very powerful driver in driving business growth, and this is one place where we'll continue to keep investing. The second thing that I wanted to talk about is just people using it, and I talked about it. Indian advertisers are at the forefront of using not just our tools, which is the Advantage Plus suite. In fact, just 3-4 years ago when we started, hardly anybody was using it, and now almost every advertiser on our platform uses an AI-powered product. And we're also seeing Indian companies adopt Llama in a very big way because it's open source, your data is ring-fenced, you can fine-tune it. So there's a lot of excitement around this as well. Moving on, I want to talk about messaging. There's 600 million conversations that happen between a business and people on our platform every day. And this is a very dated number, so we don't have the latest. This number only keeps going up. And every time we survey people, they want to talk to a business via messaging, right? Because this is where they are. They're talking to family and friends. For those of you, who are not from India, you wake up in the morning to a message from some family member. That's a good morning message. And increasingly, you're also waking up to alerts from businesses and marketing messages from businesses as well. And 95% of the businesses that we surveyed said that business messaging actually improved their customer experience. So what we're seeing is that business messaging, which started off, this is a nascent effort for us. It's only been 2-3 years that we've started building out tools and products on WhatsApp. But what we're seeing is we are actually only meeting where users already are. They're anyway talking to businesses. All we're doing is now building products on top of that that make it a lot easier. What we are going to do in the future is actually include AI-enabled chatbots, things like that, which will make this experience a lot more seamless. 60% of users, said they wanted conversational journeys, which is a flow, a conversation with a business. And this is a Bain study that we did. 70% of the enterprises that we talked to already engaged with half of their base using conversational platforms like ours. The reason I say this is because I think in India it's pretty, if you want to reach the next 200 million consumers, or you want to continue to engage with your top tier consumers, you should meet them where they are, which is why we spend a lot of our time building flows and applications on WhatsApp. I do want to talk about our strategy a little bit on what we're doing on utilities. These are all use cases that we've done. In Bombay, now 50% of all the tickets sold on WhatsApp, and this is what the Chief Minister said a few weeks ago, are now happening on WhatsApp, like Bombay metro tickets. So you're taking the subway, people are no longer lining up, they're buying their tickets on WhatsApp. Manamitra is an effort that we launched with the Andhra Pradesh government, where basically think of all citizen services. Temple, darshan bookings, getting a birth certificate, paying your electricity bills. Each one of them is a different department in the state government. What they've done is they've merged all of them with one phone number. So now they have around 200 services with one phone number, the ability to not wait 5 months to get a certificate, to do the things you want to do, but get them instantly. And what we noticed was, since we launched it, in a week, and this is something Lokesh Nara, who's the IT minister, shared recently, they saw 2 million people use this, chatbot, like use Manamitra on WhatsApp. What this means, we've just also tied up with the Orissa and the Maharashtra governments. We'll be launching that shortly. So we want to do that with every government. So this is also a way in which I think people are going to get more and more comfortable interacting and doing business on WhatsApp, getting government services on WhatsApp, and buying things, because payments is fully integrated now, not just WhatsApp payment, but UPI payment as well. So I think this is the way we are thinking about approaching problems that we could not address in the past, with a very conversational approach. Think about how powerful this becomes if there's voice and AI integration on it, which is people, in say villages and, tier 3, people who may not be even literate, being able to, do a transaction and get access to government services. So we think then, there will be a lot of other use cases in the private sector that will be a fast follow as well. This is my last slide. I talked about AI, I talked about business messaging. The third imperative that I want to talk about is, again, you should meet your consumers where they are. The world has changed. People are really active on their phones while they're watching TV. This is the number from a survey. But even or when they're in a cricket tournament, people are watching, they're making and sharing more content than ever before. Like I said, India is the largest market for reels. There's 4.5 billion reels, the times that people reshare reels every day, and a big chunk of that comes from India. 50% of all the time that's spent on Instagram is spent on reels, which is short form video, which means also consumption is changing, from long form to shorter form. And this is real. So this is happening not just on our platforms, but also on other platforms, as well. And what we've done is we've just included some stats here to help you dimensionalize the, how big reels is. We've seen 40% increase in time spent on Instagram since we launched reels. That's been the impact of reels on our platform. And that's really, if you think about how massive Instagram is, it's really explosive growth that we've seen. And the reason I say that to you is, even on our platform, we find that behavior is changing constantly, and we have to work harder to meet consumers where they are and what they're consuming and what they want from us. And you see that in the last number, which is this 200 billion reels that's played every single day across the world, across Facebook and Instagram. So I think the third message that I would leave is, we're also learning as a company and constantly sort of innovating to keep up with consumer needs and what they want and how they're changing, and so should you. So with that, I will end with this slide, which is just 3 imperatives: AI, business messaging, meeting consumers where they are, which is all the work we're doing on reels and creators. And I just wanted to say a huge thank you for having me here and for the partnership with all the founders in the room and with Fireside especially. So thank you.